Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Attack on Protections. Fluff here, bringing you another deck profile. But before we get into that, make sure to do all the YouTube-y fun stuff, like, subscribe, comment below if there's anything that you want to see, feedback on the video, things that you'd like to see us do with this leader or anything out of set 14, or just whatever you want to see. We're happy to do it. So getting into the deck profile, this is, of course, the new leader from set 14, Jiren Blind Destruction. Just give a quick rundown on what the leader wants to do. You guys apparently don't like when we read the leaders to you, so just kind of a summation. The leader's got a Spirit Boost 1, which lets you evolve your red Jiren cards during your opponent's turn when your opponent attacks with a card. But additionally, activate main. He can take one card from his life to his hand, top 7, and play a Universe 11 with an energy cost of 1 in rest mode. When you're at 4 or less life, Hybrid Awaken. On the backside, we still have the ability to evolve in our opponent's turn, Spirit Boost 1, and then when this card attacks, draw 1. And then limit 2 on an auto. Each time if it's your turn, when one of your cards evolves, you get to add 5,000 to the leader. So the leader becomes a 25,000 single strike on the backside, which doesn't come up a ton, but it is nice to just put that on there. So, and it's just for the duration of the turn. So it's not like it keeps that battle power during your opponent's turn. That would be busted. So that's the leader. We love the leader. The leader's actually really good and provides a ton of consistency for the deck. Then we're going to move into our Unison. We're playing 4 of the Topo, Force of Obliteration. This guy is fantastic for accruing and keeping markers. So it's a specified 1 red Unison with 5,000 power, which doesn't seem like it would be all that much, especially given the current state of the game. But on the auto, we've got when one of your red battle cards evolves, gain 5,000 for the turn, and then +1 at the end of the turn, you choose 1 red battle card with energy cost of 1 in your hand, play it in rest mode. So there, we're getting to play 2 1-drops for no energy off of just the leader's front side and the Unison side. And then the effect that comes up very little on the Unison is -7, activate main. If your opponent has 3 or more life, deal 1 damage to them. This Unison honestly isn't very threatening, and I noticed that people didn't honestly push into it a ton. Some did, but you have plenty of ways to defend it and discourage your opponent from attacking it. So 4 of those, it's the only Unison that we play in the deck. Moving into our Jiren lineup, we've got the 2 1-drops. There's Jiren Thirst for Power and Jiren the Avenger. Thirst, so they're both 1-drop Jirens. Jiren Thirst for Power lets us look at the top 5 and add a red Unison specified cost of 1, or 1 Jiren with an energy cost of just 1 red Jiren card. So it's energy in any 1 red Jiren card. And then Jiren the Avenger lets us draw 1. But also has a drop area effect, activate main, where you can discard a card from your hand, bottom deck Jiren the Avenger, and then search your deck for any Jiren with an energy cost of 5 or less in the evolve skill. So it'll fetch the 4-drop or the 5-drop. So we run 4 and 4. We want to see those consistently. We'd like to start with 1 in hand, and then we'd like to be able to find 1 on the leader's skill when we activate that. Though generally, we almost always hit it. And if you whiff, it's not the worst thing in the world. The 4-drop is Jiren Devastating Might. This card puts in a ton of work and is probably, while one of the more simple Jiren cards, is probably one of the better Jiren cards. So he's an EX Evolve for free onto a Jiren with an energy cost of 1, and then auto limit 1 when he's played. You draw 1 card and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and minus 10,000 for the turn. So this is kind of like having a almost like having an after image technique on your opponent's turn. So they attack the Unison with, say, their battle with a battle card. You Spirit Boost, evolve the Jiren, minus 10 on the attacking battle card. Then the Unison gets 5,000, so it becomes 10,000. So if it was a 15, that battle card goes down to -5. If they want to take a marker off, they have to waste resources in their hand. Plus the Jiren replaces himself. Other than that, no protection. It's just a 15,000. You might swing with it. You might pressure with it. But definitely one of the more useful pieces of the Jiren engine. And then the Jiren with the sticking power is the Jiren Surge of Strength. This is the 5-drop. It does have an EX Evolve limit 1. And you can go either evolve from the 1-drop or the 4-drop. But he does have a limit, EX Evolve limit 1 for 1 red energy. And then when he's played, you draw 1 card, then choose one of your Universe 11 battle cards or leader cards other than this card. And it gains 1,000 power for the turn, which oftentimes isn't incredibly relevant unless you want to make your opponent waste to deal damage on an awakened leader. But more interestingly, he has a permanent effect that if he were to be removed from your field by an opponent's skill, you can either place 2 cards under him into the drop area or strike a life to keep him on the field. So if you played a 1-drop, you evolved into the free one, and then you evolved into the 5-drop, he has 2 cards under him, which will give him 1 instance of protection. Plus, he's a 19,000 dual attack, which is plenty of pressure. Great for clearing out Unisons, great for pressuring battle cards. Just fantastic. It's really cheap, super easy to get into this because it does have the flexibility of coming in off of a 1-drop or a 4-drop. Then, the last Jiren piece that we play is 4 of the 8-drop. Jiren, Zenith of Power. This is a double strike 35,000. It does have EX Evolve limit 1 for 2 red energy on top of a Jiren of 4 or 5. So it doesn't matter which Jiren you come in on top of. And then when this card is played, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and then give it minus 35,000, which pretty much kills just about anything that your opponent might play. And then activate main once per turn. You can place 1 card under this card into the drop area to restand this card. So it's really fantastic. And honestly, my first weekend playing it, I didn't even notice there was a limit 1 behind the EX Evolve. And I was like, God, this card's broken. Like, it just really creates so many problems, and no one had caught it. And then, like, at the end of the event, Jimmy came up to me. He goes, yo, bro, that Jiren's got EX Evolve limit 1 on it. Like, you can't do it multiple times. So do remember that. It's still a fantastic card. Probably broken without that limit 1, if we're being totally truthful. But yeah, 4 of those because they're really good. We want to find them. We want to be able to search them. Kind of other little pieces in the Universal 11 archetype. I do run 2 Kunchi Warrior of Universal 11. These are specifically to give our 1-drop Jiren's barrier, so they're not easily removed. Though they're usually going to be in rest mode if we play them by skill. But this does at least provide the ability for them to not get blown out through stuff like Dormant Potential or Shocking Death Ball or stuff like that. And then also, they're just a cantrip, so when it's played, draw 1. And it's a target to play off of either the leader or the Unison if by chance we don't have either Jiren. Then I do play 2 of the Jiren Pride of Universe 11. These are just for recovery. One of the things that the deck really hates is it hates losing its field, and it can be kind of hard sometimes, especially later in the game. You may actually run out of 1-drops, or you may just not, the number of 1-drops in the deck may not be enough to consistently see them for the duration of the game, especially after you've awakened. So being able to use this Jiren to pick up a couple of the 1-drops and put them back on the field to start your evolve cycle again is really important. I don't think it's worth, clogging your life or your hand with these. You can't charge them, you can't play them because they are 1 specified yellow, but they do fetch the 1-drops. So 2 of those. Then for defense, we run 2 of the Topo Righteous Aids. I do plan on building a variant of the deck that focuses on playing the EX Evolve Black Topo from the Ultimate box, but I tried throwing it in this deck, and it was just clunky, weird, and while the deck was still good, it pushed me into making plays that weren't optimal and weren't great, so I cut the number down, and we're just at 2 Topo right now. So we are defensive in a lot of ways, and just having this is even better. Super combos, we run the Raditz. I tested the code out from the new set. Unfortunately, your leader has to be 4 or less life, and sometimes because your opponent gets so focused on trying to kill your Jirens, your 1-drops, 4-drops, or Unisons that they ignore your leader and you don't awaken until turn 4, in which case your super combos are dead. It really is kind of the same thing with this Raditz, but at least the Raditz is a get rid of a useless card and draw 2, whereas the code is just draw 1 or recover a marker when you use Spirit Boost. And honestly, those effects aren't relevant enough. And if we're going to be waiting to use super combos, I'd rather have a higher payoff. So then for more protection, we do run 3 Yamcha Merciless Barrage. tricky counterplay to use. You've got to kind of have an understanding of counter timing window 1, 2, when each window opens, what happens in each window, and how effects resolve otherwise. But if you understand that, you can actually use Merciless Barrage incredibly effectively to keep your opponent's field clear. In combination with this, plus one of the other negates that we run, plus the 4-drop Jiren, plus the 8-drop Jiren, we can pretty well keep just about any field, as long as it doesn't have barrier, pretty much cleaned up, and we really keep our opponent off of field resources. So 3 of these. Then I run 2 Piccolo the New Ruler. This is just to provide endgame pressure. We usually don't want to give our opponent an additional 2 life unless, or 2 cards from hand, or for 2 cards to their hand from their life, unless we want to win that turn. So I just run 2 just for the pressure as needed. So 2 of those. 2 Furthering Destruction Champa for the same reason. The leader in certain circumstances can go to 25. A Champa will make it 35. Combo will make it 40. Super combo will make it 45. So, and then if you go into the 5-drop Jiren, it makes it, 26 base, which is actually a lot to get over. So Champa is really nice to put it on top of our leader. So 2 Champa. Then 1 Bardock the Resolute. We don't really deal damage that's not by battle, or we don't deal effect damage. So we're really using this for leaders like KV or any leader that would have its own self-awaken ability. So just the 1, because it's limited. 1 Bardock to finish games out. I think this is my favorite Unison in the game right now. It's pretty much an auto 1 included in any deck that I make, because they're great at closing games. For the secret rare, we run the Supreme Kai of Time. This is fantastic for blowing out fields. So, we do have a really nice game against blowing out battle cards, but sometimes, every once in a while, there's a Unison or a leader that's giving us a problem, and we can use this to just stop leaders and Unisons from attacking, and then we can use it to actually blow Unisons out and punish overcommitment on the part of battle cards. So, just that as the secret rare. We do run 3 Wolfang Fist. I primarily use these to protect our Topo Unison or 1-drop Jiren. So if the opponent swings at something while we've got the Unison out, we'll just Wolfang Fist, take it down. And then if we can evolve into the 4-drop, we'll evolve into the 4, and it'll kill something that's 25,000 or smaller, as long as it doesn't have barrier. So 3 of those. Then we run 2 Violent Ray, because there are certain situations where some decks can storm out on us, and it may be difficult to neg those cards out fully and efficiently. So we just want to be able to survive a couple turns against that. So 2 Violent Rays. Theoretically, in the sideboard, I'd probably run an additional 2 for like dark brawly matchups and stuff like that. But in our best of 1 format, 2 seems to work just fine. And then, because sometimes we do need to self-awaken, I run 2 Testing the Opposition, considering going to 3 on this, but I don't know what to cut. Probably would have to be a Wolfang Fist or an 8-drop Jiren, probably, to make room for this. But this basically lets us awaken faster. It's effectively 2 negates, unless your opponent wants to blow the token up, and then they're wasting some resource blowing that up and not a 1-drop Jiren. So we're okay with that. And that is my Jiren deck list. This deck is really fun. It plays really reactive. It really involves, I would say it's very much like Trader Dende and Invoker, in the sense that, like, the more you know the matchups, the better the deck is, because you can make better choices, because all of your choices are reactionary to your opponent's actions. So if you can anticipate what's coming, it's really easy to stop everything. But thanks so much for watching. I know I ramble in these, but hopefully you find them insightful and you find them useful. I really enjoy discussing the ins and outs of the decks, so thank you guys. Love you guys. I won't read the Jiren leader anymore. I promise, moving forward, won't do it. But leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Leave us some ideas down below. Read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. You don't have to take a game loss for activating EX Evolve twice in 1 turn. I did that. So as always, Fluf out.